Let me start by defining what is a power team member because I don't know what your experience level is when it comes to real estate investing. So I want to give you the basics here. So I like to equate a power team member to a player on a professional sports team because real estate investing and business and life in general is really a team sport. And on your championship team, you can think of yourself as the coach and you are moving the various parts, the various players in each position until you find a winning combination. And that will ultimately take you to the promised land, which isn't a trophy, it's financial freedom. So, power team members are like your championship roster of players. And what I would say when you look at a team sport, there is no one player that does or plays every single position, right? Each player at that position has probably been playing in that position for the majority of their high school, college, and professional careers. So in basketball, you have your point guard, you have your guard, you have your center, you have your shooter, right? There's all these different positions, and you're not going to have a center that's 7 feet tall playing the point guard position. And therefore, they are specialists at that role. That is where they excel. Another example would be in football. Your running back probably isn't going to be playing quarterback or tight end or a center or a punter or a kicker, right? They're a running back. Same thing with your quarterback. So why am I saying this? You don't want to have a team of mediocrity. You don't want to have a bunch of generalists that know a little about a lot. You would rather them know a lot about a little. And there's a couple of stories from two books specifically that I can think of. One of those being Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you haven't read that, I would highly recommend that you do. But the example that I can remember is Robert, as a child, and his friend would visit the friend's dad, who was known as Rich Dad. And on several occasions, while they were waiting for him, he was busy in meetings. And this is a man that owned a number of different businesses on the island in Hawaii. And the people that he was bringing in were his power team members, whether those are managers and operators of specific businesses or other members that which I'll get into later. So Rich Dad was taking his advice from the people, from the specialists, and then using that advice to make a decision. So another example that I can think of is from the book Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill, which I would also definitely recommend that you check out if you haven't read it yet. But Napoleon Hill, as the narrator, basically tells the story of Henry Ford creating or founding the Ford Motor Company, one of the largest automobile companies ever to have existed. Also started the production line, which is a pretty cool fact. But he tells a story of Henry Ford on trial and questioned on all of these different subjects: history, geography, all of these general facts that don't actually impact his ability to lead and manage the Ford Motor Company. And after a while of answering some of these questions, he gets tired or bored, and he basically says, "Why would I want to know all of these general facts? There's a series of buttons on my desk, and when I push one of those buttons, I will have someone in to tell me the specific answer. And when I first read that, it was just kind of like my mind was immediately opened up. So he had a team of specialists working for him that they had their sets of duties, responsibilities. They were specialists in their role. They were the ones that were in the day to day. They knew it better than he did. And he was humble enough to take their advice. He was also smart enough to not be distracted by the little details, but to focus on the bigger picture so that he can lead and manage based on his vision and values more effectively. And the power team members, and that from that example and from the rich dad example, are essentially the same thing. They're your team, your players who are specialists that you seek to provide you advice that you may and more likely may not know. They will approach it from all of the different angles. They will know things that you can't even think of to ask. And they are your advisors and they are leading you to that championship. Okay, so that is a very long that's a very long explanation of what a power team member is, but I think I want to drive it home exactly the importance of their role in your success as a real estate investor.